Hey, this is James Ortolani with Wilflex Inks.
Tyler Dummett with Workhorse Products.
Dave with Dick Clark Associates. Alan Howe with Sadi Chem. You're listening to the Two Regular Guys podcast.
Hosted by Aaron Montgomery and Terry Combs.
Welcome to the show.
All right. Well, welcome. Let's see how this goes here. Well, it showed it Friday, December 29th, 2017. Our final test run of the new 2018 format. A little dicey here to start, but we'll see how it goes. I'm Aaron Montgomery, and you can find me at aaronmontgomery.info as well as sublysource.com.
All right. And I'm Terry Combs with Equipment Zone, and you can also find me at terrycombs.com. And Aaron, today, after testing is a good way to put it, because we had a little bit of technical difficulty at the beginning, but we're good to go right now. And this week, as we do every year at the end of the year, it's planning 2018. So make sure we're ready for that, and looking forward to your thoughts on planning. And I know this is a really popular show with all of our listeners. So looking forward to getting started.
Absolutely. It's going to be a lot of fun, and obviously doing something new here with the video. So I've got quite a little command center going on in front of me here right now. So if I'm looking away, I do apologize. We're getting from one thing to the next. We're still looking for that producer that's going to work for free.
Yeah, exactly.
Have not found them yet.
you get a coffee mug. But hey, while people who are listening either on the very good people listening on our audio version, or if you're watching us on Facebook, make sure you let us know what you think of the new format, and we're open to your suggestions and ideas.
Absolutely. Looking forward to it. Also, we've had tremendous feedback about our 5 Things program that we do. And so that's going to continue to be a regular part of the show in 2018. We'd love to get some 5 things from you guys. These are conversation starters, and you'll get full credit for them and all that kind of fun stuff. But reach out to us and let us know what 5 things we should be bringing to the people that get the conversation started. Another thing, Terry, is I'm kind of fed up with our infographic format that I've used for the 5 things. It's just not turning the crank anymore, so to speak.
This sounds like an opportunity to me.
Yeah, it's a big opportunity. I've tried to fix it and change it, and I'm not a graphic designer. I just play one on TV. So I'm just kidding. I'm not a graphic designer at all either way. So I am going to have a little contest here. We are going to have a little contest here, and we're looking for a new format for our 5 Things infographics. It needs to be something that'll post to social media well. Needs to be able to handle text area for 5 things. Needs to have our logo in it, and beyond that, we're open. We'll put your logo in it. We'll put whatever you want it to look like, and so we're going to do this competition, Terry, until January 15th. We'll get some details on our Facebook page about it. But for those of you listening, start designing. We need like I said, we need an infographic that we can plug 5 things into. The hashtag is 5 Things, so pretty easy there. And we're going to do this till January 15th. You can get your entries in. And then unlike the Reggies, Terry, this is going to be us being judge, jury, and executioner. So.
Exactly. We get to pick.
Yeah, absolutely. So start getting those submissions in. Like I said, we'll share with you our logo and any other graphics elements you want to use that you see throughout our website or on our pages or anything like that. So reach out to us at tworegularguys.com and for more details. And like I said, we'll get that contest up on our Facebook page over this holiday weekend here.
Absolutely. Well, hey, we appreciate everybody listening, and we're always pleased to bring the show to you every week. We've been doing it since February 2013, and we do our best to avoid rants, lecturing, and selling. But and we would love to have you visit our website. That's 2 regularguys.com. Check out the show notes from all of our previous podcasts, and if we talk about anybody's link or anything like that, it's all up on our website. So go there. And we're always looking for suggestions for future shows. You can do that through our Contact Us page or through our social media. You can find us anywhere at the number 2 Regular Guys. Catching this live video via Facebook Live, we'd love to hear your comments, insights, questions, and suggestions about today's topic. But before we dive in, Aaron, let's hear from our title sponsor for 2018, the Specialty Graphic Imaging Association,
Empowered, inspired.
That's you after ThreadX, powered by SGIA in Palm Springs, California, February 25th through the 28th, 2018. This new event, designed by and for garment decorators, explores not just how to sell products, but how to get noticed.
The focus is on marketing, branding, and consumer trends in this omni-channel retail age.
Join the 2 Regular Guys to satisfy your appetite for actionable inspiration with speakers including Johnny Cupcakes, Tim Williams of the YR Store, and many more. This is a must-attend event if you plan on seeing your company into the future. Plan on attending ThreadX, powered by SGIA in Palm Springs, California, February 25th through the 28th, 2018. Go to threadx18.com for more details and to register.
We can't wait to see you there.
All right. Well, thanks to ThreadX and SGIA for being a title sponsor for the entire year of 2018. We are excited to be a part of what they've got going on, and this ThreadX event is going to be fantastic. We are stoked for sure, Terry, to get out there, and I've got all my travel booked. So how about you?
I have looked at your booked travel and have not seen you and raised you on that, but this weekend is the weekend for that. So that's my plan. And hey, we're going to be talking about planning for 2018. So I'm going to be using my new Is It Friday Yet book. That's blank pages to fill with my personal plans for 2018. And my first plan, Aaron, will be to schedule all my travel. But I'm partly scheduled. I'm already booked to fly into Long Beach, California for ISS, but that's as far as it goes. And I've had my daughter and my 2 young grandsons with me since Thanksgiving, and gosh, I don't have very many free minutes, but only a couple more weeks. And then they'll be heading back to Washington. But
having little kids is hard work, isn't it, Terry?
It is here that I'm doing it all over again. But you know that better than I now.
Yes, exactly. Well, a couple quick things, Terry, before we dive in. First off, see here up on if you're watching the video broadcast, but Doug Gibson is joining us today. Aloha, and Happy New Year to you as well, Doug. Dragon Ink out there.
I don't know if Doug can say aloha anymore. He lives in Arizona now. He no longer lives in Hawaii. So I guess we'll give him that give him that for a little while longer.
Awesome. And also hello to Alan Howe checking in, Sadi Chem, and Alan mentioned earlier that we're not on Blog Talk Radio, and that is correct. We're trying something new here for right now. It will be up on Blog Talk's feed as of tomorrow. So tune in there. And
I see Alan saying hello from Michigan, and Aaron, I haven't done this at all yet this year, but I will just toss out there that here in Scottsdale, Arizona, it'll be a balmy 77 today. I think that Alan will have a 7 in his temperature as well, maybe just the 1, but
yeah. Well, even here in St. Louis, a little further south than where Alan's at, we're going to have about 8 to 12. They aren't sure yet. Straight days below freezing, so a little chilly right now.
Well,
all right.
That's why we live in paradise. Some of us.
Some of us, yes. All right. Well, Terry, let's dive right into this planning thing here, and let's talk about. Alan just said it's a brisk 9 degrees. Yikes!
It's 2 degrees warmer than I thought.
Just see how much it is here. Yeah, it doesn't show. All right. Well, let's get into what people are really here for, not the weather report. All right, Terry. So I'm going to start us off with planning for 2018, and to get ready for this show, I did go back and look and basically tried to steal your thunder before you got notes in the outline. But no. One of the things that you talked about last year, Terry, was people. Well, I want to talk about people. You talked about changes in business and how things look to change and improve, and products improving and growing, and how that affect the people that are a part of your business. So I want to take that one step further and talk a little bit more about people. Planning for next year, and the people being a big part of that. People are probably some of the most important assets that you have in your business.
Sure.
And, so you got to be dealing with people just like you would, a new direct garment printer or, your customers. And so they're all stakeholders in this, and proper planning for what's going to happen is very important. So the first thing with people is to make sure that you have a review process in place. And this is both your side, their side, and it needs to be an honest assessment and focus on the positives. Let's figure out what they did really well and have them figure out what they did really well or what they really enjoyed. And then talk about how you can make that even more a part of their jobs and kind of grow from there. And just make sure that you also do look at some of the areas that they need to improve on. But again, keep that focus on the positive side. I think that's why most people hate reviews. It feels like you're just getting crushed about all the things you didn't do well, and very rarely do the good things get covered. So that's one important thing for planning.
Aaron, and if I could jump in on that,
yeah.
As an owner or as a manager, understand how important reviews are to the employees, because that's also an opportunity for them to talk a little bit about their jobs and, hey, this is how things are going to be better for me. And of course, yes, they're going to also talk about compensation, but so many times in so many companies I've seen where a manager or an owner just gets so darn busy that, well, we'll do that review next week, and it becomes next month, and the employee, it's really important to them. And when you put it off, that says the review's not important and you're not important. So do this on a schedule, and yes, put aside whatever it is, the newest hot project you have, and make sure you understand that your employees want to be appreciated, and they want you to respect them and that review process. So that's my 2 cents worth on that.
That's really good, Terry.
So often.
Yeah, no, I agree. And like you said, if you're not scheduling it, I think you just got to make it part of the process, and then, like you said, just stick to it. It is important to them. And the other thing there, Terry, is I would put a lot of this on them. Have the review process start internally with them. Have them have an honest assessment with themselves, and make them bring that to the table, and that makes the review process that much easier for you as a business owner or manager. Is if you're saying, okay, this is your review, a review of you, I'll bring in my feedback, and we can look at the positives and have a great conversation here. But really, this is more for the employee to truly understand where they fit in the business and what they need to do to take things to the next level. So,
Aaron, and take that a step further than reviews. Something that whenever I've gone in and taken over a management position in a new company, one of the things that, the first thing that you get is people walking into your office and saying, okay, here's the problem. What's the solution? And they learn very quickly that my first response to here's the problem is, well, what would you do? And so then it becomes, they come in and tell me the problem, and I just stare at them, and then they say, oh, you want me to tell you what I would do, right? Yes. And then suddenly they don't come anymore. They find a problem and they solve it. So, this could be a huge benefit to you on many levels.
Absolutely. Real quick, morning, David Shaw checking in, Ace Transfer Company.
Morning, David.
Good morning, David. Great to have you. All right. Well, Terry, so continuing along with this people thing, the other area in the people side of things that I think we need to be planning on and looking at is our budgeting. We budget for a lot of things. How much is the building costing me? What's my lease payment? How much does my brand new iPhone 10 going to cost? Those kind of budgeting kind of things. But for most companies, a big part of their budget or expenditures each year is actually going to be payroll. And so that, and a lot of times that really doesn't get the same, processing or kind of fine tooth comb to understand what you're spending there and how that affects things. So my suggestion is take a really close look at the budget for these things and understand what you need to change there. So maybe you're having a hard time getting good employees and keeping good employees. And maybe part of that is you just don't have enough in your budget to attract the right employees, So if the people you need are used to getting paid $15, $16 an hour and you pay 10, that's going to be a challenge. So you got to change your budget and plan accordingly. But maybe on the flip side of it, maybe there's some fat that needs to be trimmed. Maybe you're spending a lot of money on payroll and not really getting as much back. This is the time where you got to be honest. You don't want to fire anybody right before the holidays, but if you have to let some people go, right after the New Year is probably a good place.
Yeah, not a week ago. It'd be marked for life as Scrooge. But Aaron, and at the same time, if any employees out there listening, and I know a lot of our listeners are entire production shops. They run our show during regular hours, and everybody in the shop listens. So, hey, out there, if you're an employee, have realistic expectations as well. One of my sons is a sales manager at actually a new job, and he's redoing the commission structure for the sales guys. And he called me yesterday, and he goes, "Dad, one of the sales guys came with a recommendation of how the sales structure should be set up, the commission structure." And at the end of it, my son said, "Let me get this straight. You want to double your base and double your commission rate. Is that what you're telling me?" So probably unrealistic to expect to double your pay over for the coming years. So everybody's got to be realistic, because what you do has certain value, and the way to make more money, again, I'm talking to the employees, is make yourself more valuable. Make yourself so that the company can't live without you. And here's the sad truth, though, about it: the company can live without you. So don't get too inflated in this. So it's a two-step process. But we're all willing to pay those great employees.
Yeah, absolutely. And to kind of take that one step further, like you said, Terry, you've got to make yourself more valuable, but you have to be realistic. You've been with the company for a couple of months, and you haven't gotten that big raise and that next step in the company that you talked about when you first got hired. Well, you're 2 months in. You got to put a little work in. You got to be willing to. I always tell people you got to be willing to clean the toilets and do some things that might be quote unquote you think beneath you. But in today's world, we got to work hard. And, I think we've really lost sight of that in certain areas. I need it right now. And the 2-day Amazon shipping and all that other stuff has kind of gotten in the way of our work ethic in some situations. So we need to get back to that.
Right, exactly. Well, let me jump in, Aaron, here and talk a little bit about one of my thoughts, and that's time management for the new year. And better management of your time is going to make your work life way easier, your whole life easier. And I have an assignment for you, and it's going to feel like a chore. I always have an assignment, don't I? But what am I have to write now? And you have to do this in pencil, by the way, and a yellow legal pad. Can't do it on electronically. No, I don't care.
How about one of those books that says, "Is it Friday yet?"
One of these, yeah. All right, so here's the assignment, and don't do this next week, because it's going to be crazy. We're going to have a holiday on Monday, but the next week after that. And what you need to do is make a chart, and that chart is going to have a box for every 15 minutes of your workday, and at the end of every 15 minutes, and this is the chore part, you have to write 1 or 2 words of what you were doing for the bulk of that last 15 minutes. Maybe I was talking to a customer. Maybe I was under a press on the production floor trying to get it running. Maybe I was scheduling. Maybe I was sitting and planning for the new year. So in every one of those boxes for an entire week, for every 15 minutes, you're going to write what you were doing in 1 or 2 words. Then at the end of at the end of the week, you're going to combine all those things together and say, okay, well, they're scheduling. You're going to add up all that time. And this was an eye opener for me, because we all assume that we know what we do with our time, and to do something like this will really bring home to you that maybe you're not managing your time well. And the example for me is when I was running production in Kansas City, I went to a time management course, and we met once a week for 10 weeks, and we met for about 3 hours, and we talked about how to manage our time. And this is one of the projects we did. I was stunned to find that I was spending, and I was running a big production floor, I was spending 60% of my time doing some kind of scheduling. And and when I went back and reported this to my group, the administrator said, well, couldn't you hire someone to do scheduling? I mean, is it so complicated that you have to do it? And I'm like, well, no, it's actually very, very simple to do. I have a formula for it, and somebody could schedule a production order in just a few minutes and put it into a schedule. And well, then you need to go back to the ownership of your company and say you need to hire a part-time employee, and which I did. And they're like, oh my gosh, we had no idea that you were so tied up with this. Absolutely, let's hire someone. And it freed me up to manage production as opposed to, sitting in my office with a calculator. So I think you'd be surprised at all the different things that you're going to learn from this. And it's really a worthwhile project. And if you're an owner, do it. If you have managers, have them do it. And maybe it doesn't involve hiring somebody. Maybe it just involves delegating to one of your employees. And delegating is a tricky thing. And I've talked about it on this show before. If you are a micromanager in your company and you micromanage the company, you micromanage your employees, then it's going to be hard for you to delegate. And guess what? When you delegate, then people are still going to come and say to you, well, okay, well, what should I do? What should I do? And then you're going to come back to me and you're going to call up next week and say, well, Terry, I delegated and they still aren't doing the work. They're still asking me. Well, that's because they have no history with you of letting them do the work. So it takes a little while. You have to suck it up a little bit when you delegate or when you change people's jobs around and let them get a feel for it and trust them to do the work. I talk about that all the time. And after the work is done, if you're this guy, if you're that person who only says "good job," but you know what, erase that "but" from the sentence and just say "good job" and allow them. Hey, maybe they don't do it as well as you do, but if you don't have to do it, maybe that's okay. So, Aaron, we could all of our management conversations.
I feel like you're talking directly to me here, Terry.
I am not.
The other thing with time management that I wanted to bring up, and I bring this up because I am extremely guilty, and I think Eric had some information that kind of points to this, but like to do that time management and to figure out exactly where your time is going. The other thing you could probably find out is there some things that you just need to stop doing that aren't important? It may not be hiring or delegating. It may just be stopping doing them altogether. Worth it. And we're getting some great feedback here from the folks that are checking us out live on Facebook. So I'm trying to get most of the comments up into the video here. And anyhow, we'll keep going here, Terry.
Anyhow, Alan, how?
Alan, how? Sorry, I'm trying to do way too many things at once here. But anyhow.
Well, I'm actually telling my daughter on the phone that she's texting me that she needs to get gas and needs money on her debit card. And I'm having to tell her, hey, I'm podcasting right now.
All right.
She might even be in the other room. I'm not sure.
The fun of live podcasting. All right, Terry. Well, let's keep going here. Let's see here. I wanted to talk next about the software and technology stack. So there's a great deal of software out there, and it's all kind of vying for our business, and they all claim to make our businesses better. Obviously, that's how they're going to sell these products. The problem becomes each business is completely different. So you could be a screen printer here and a screen printer here, and from the outside looking in, it could look like the exact same business. They both have the 7 for 7 specials or whatever. Right. Some people do. I guess it's like a 4. I don't know. Anyhow, so they look the same, but internally they operate extremely differently. Different things are focused on, different ways of scheduling, and all this other stuff. And fortunately, I've been able to get into a lot of companies and see a lot of different things. And the one thing I can say for sure is not a single one of them operates the same way. They may have some similarities. They may have borrowed some techniques from other companies, things like that, but none of them do it exactly the same. So the problem is we go out and we get this software that's made for everybody, and we try to plug it in, and then we just keep putting Band-Aids over the top of it. Right. So one of the things that I think worth planning for is looking at what your technology is, what your technology stack is. But when you're planning to make a change or make a move, you got to really plan like all of it. So, it's one thing to put a new management software in, or front end software or production software or whatever, but you got to plan and manage the time it's going to take to customize it to your business. So, and maybe you need to look at what you're using right now and go back and really customize it. There's one of my favorite signs that I've had on many of the doors that I've been at is the Running of the Bulls picture. I'm sure I've talked about this on this show many times. And basically it shows somebody getting gored at the Running of the Bulls. And it's just because it's always been done this way doesn't mean it's not incredibly stupid. And I think a lot of this kind of happens because of what the software was doing and what we had to do to get around things. So first and foremost, go back in and look at what you're doing, plan for it, and make sure you plan some time to customize it to work for your business, not the other way around. Don't change your business to work for your software. The two areas that I think are really important for people to look at would be your inventory management and purchasing. How is that done? Take some time to really focus on those things, because that can be one of the most challenging areas for decorators. I just got done going through a super hectic holiday season. I imagine most people have their peak seasons, and what causes the most problems is when you don't have the item that you need, or you can't find the item that you need. Right. We've the company that I'm working with, Pick the Gift, we've grown by leaps and bounds, and still in the same building. And so a lot of products are coming in, a lot of racks got put in, a lot of things got kind of put in the middle because we didn't have time to put it away, kind of thing. And what ended up happening was we spent way too much time trying to chase things down, or where's this, or customers sent us this, and we couldn't find them, so they had to send us new products, and we had to pay for them, those kinds of things. So, inventory management and purchasing is one of the most important areas to look at software technology-wise. And then your marketing automation system and your business intelligence system. This may not be super technical. It could be as easy as just a spreadsheet or something along those lines, but somewhere where you keep track of who your customers are, how you've contacted them, and those kinds of things, and start thinking about those on how that can make your business better by targeting your market and targeting the messages that you're sending. So those are the two areas that I want people to look at from a technology standpoint, is how do those things work in your business? How does the software you're currently using deal with those things? And what could you do better there?
You know, Aaron, and great reference when you said you're putting Band-Aids on the software, because, you know, so often in our businesses, it's not just the software. So many of the things that we do, over time, there are lots of Band-Aids that we put on, and maybe this is a good time of year to look and say, you know, we've been patching this process together for the last 5 years. Maybe now is the time to pull all those Band-Aids off and correct our habits, or correct the technology, or correct the process that we're using. So that's not on our list, but you know, that's a good one for next year. But one of the things I want to talk about, Aaron, is sleeping better at night. And so for 2018, I'd like you guys to be able to sleep better. And one of the ways, and this is a subject that I've talked about many times before, but I think it bears repeating, is you need to get control of your schedule. And no matter what kind of production you're doing, you have a schedule, or you should have a schedule. And knowing where you stand, for better or worse, because, you know, some people don't want to do a schedule because they know that they don't have the capability of getting the product out the door in the time frame that they've told their customer. Well, you know, you need to know, and you need to tell your customer right up front. Knowing where you stand is going to make your communications with your customers and your employees 1,000 times better. And when I say communication with your employees, you also have to let them know what you expect of them, because, you know, you might have an employee, both your employees process 100 pieces an hour. One employee thinks, I'm the greatest decorator on the planet. The other one thinks, man, I know this isn't enough. I know I'm going to get fired. Not before Christmas, right after, because Aaron said, fire me. But, you know, if you want to know more about scheduling, I've done hundreds of articles, seminars. I have a book called Estimating Production Time. It helps you to sleep at night when you know where you are in your schedule. And we've all done this. You wake up in the middle of the night thinking, wait, did I order that product? Or did I get that order done in the time I said I was going to? So along those lines, also think about what makes you and your employees crazy every day at work. Is it a fellow employee? Is it unrealistic demands? Is there something or someone who makes you dread getting out of bed in the morning? Now's the time to change that, you know, and sometimes there's an employee who just makes life miserable for everyone. And maybe you're afraid to let them go, or
about me again, are you, Terry?
I'm not talking about you.
Okay.
But planning can include removing roadblocks, and sometimes that's people. And I've had that situation where you give somebody a chance after chance after chance. Then when you finally let them go, it's like a black cloud has lifted off the building, and then all the other employees are coming out saying, "Oh man, that guy drove me crazy," or that, you know, it made me so I didn't want to get out of bed in the morning, you know. So, you know, now's the time to look at things like that as well. So that's my next one. How about you, Aaron?
Well, that's a good one. I'm glad you weren't talking directly about me. Maybe when I would yell over the wall at you, Terry. All right.
Yeah, for anybody who doesn't know, Aaron and I used to work together. Aaron was my boss at US Screen. So,
and the boss was very loose in terms. I'm pretty sure Terry did what he wanted, and I just tried to.
I do not work well with others. I am that guy.
Yeah. No, you worked very well with others, maybe a little too well at times. Eric Campbell mentioned it's surprising how changing a small pain point can improve the entire outlook.
That's an excellent way to put it.
Agreed. All right, Terry. Well, my next one is I want to start talking about the customer experience. And this is, you know, part of the planning you can be doing for improving and changing. And I want you to take time to do this either yourself or ask somebody that's not directly related to your company, but somebody that you trust, a friend or relative, and be a customer. or pretend to be a customer at the very minimum, and walk through what their experience is. How do they get from point A to point B to taking the products and paying you? And I would say try to go back as far as you can in the process. So let's start with you figure out where and how people are finding you. Where did your customers start at? Did they find you in the yellow pages? Did they find you on social media, which is probably more likely? Or did they just walk into your store? And how was that experience? What pain points did they come across just trying to find you? So document completely what that looks like, how easy or how difficult it might have been. And again, try to do this from the outside looking in as much as possible. As people involved in the business, whether that's owners, managers, or employees, we get our blinders on because we know certain things, and our brains do things to us that we make assumptions just as human nature. And those assumptions cloud the reality of things. So you have to really work hard to try to not let those assumptions get in your way. So document all that. How did they find you? Start with that. And then the next thing you want to document is the buying process. What did they have to do to place the order, getting art to you, approving the art, paying you, all of those things. What did they have to go through? And what were the pain points for them? And then also what were the pain points for you? What areas in your company in that getting the order process make you guys stumble, take up a bunch of time, cause the most issues, problems that you have after the sale, those kinds of things. So document all those things, what that buying process is like, and how easy it was. I mean, Amazon has basically become Skynet, taking over the world. By one easy theory is make it as easy as possible for people to buy. That one-click buy button. I don't even look at how much it's costs sometimes because it's just easy to go to my phone, click buy now, and up arrives a coffee mug at Terry's house or toilet paper at my house. Those kinds of things.
Exactly.
So what's that experience like? And then the last area is you want to document how they receive the products and what that process was like. Did the customer get the products from you? Did they come and get them from your location? Or did you ship them to you? Or did you ship them to the customer? And if you shipped it to the customer, how did that show up? Packaged and, if it went through the post office, did it get eaten half the time because your packaging doesn't work for their system? Those kinds of things. And then how did they understand the process from the point where they place their order until they receive their goods? Think like Domino's tracker on when you place a delivery order for Domino's. It's got the little tracker that you can watch, and it's in the oven. It's being cut. It's being put in the car to be delivered. It's coming to your door. Are you able to share that same kind of information with your customer so they have an understanding of what they can expect? Those little tools can go a long way. And then really think about what challenges they had. We've talked about on this show, some of the packaging and how to do those things. If it's a run, for example, that you're doing work for, and you're just layering, all the sizes in one big stack, and they have to try to pull those out of the stack to give them to each of the people. Could you change that and make the experience better and make the value you provide better? So those are the kind of that customer experience planning that I think is really important, is to get into those details and go from there. So any feedback on that, Terry?
Yeah, actually I do. And I have an example for you. One of the things that I like to do is pull people from one department and let them experience another department. And here's an example. I had our product quality control person, the supervisor, go out with a sales rep and just call on accounts just to see, what's happening out there on the other end. Once she had made sure that everything was packaged and folded and shipped out the door, what was the experience on the other end? And this was really eye-opening because the manager of, and this was a college bookstore, the manager of the bookstore said, "Oh, our employees hate when we order from you guys." And both the sales rep and my quality control supervisor said, well, why is that? Well, our store has really, really narrow shelves, and all the other vendors know that, and so they fold the shirts so that they fit on the shelf. And you guys just do your regular folds, so my employees have to refold all the shirts when they come in. Well, now that's partly on that manager because they'd never told us that, but we almost lost an account because of the way that the customer received the product, and it wasn't the way they needed. So, in the future, we noted that account and we folded all of our shirts so that they would fit on their shelves. And I'm talking about thousands of shirts. This was a big customer, but kind of an interesting example, I think, of looking through. Looking at your product and your processes through your customer's eyes. So, it's kind of an obscure example, but it was eye-opening, especially for that supervisor to want to understand more about the customer that we were serving. So,
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And that is important. I agree, Terry, getting those people involved in that customer experience, the people on the back end, the production end, to them, it's just fine. And that's the way we've done it. And they should just deal with it, at times. But once they have to actually get out there and answer those questions,
right.
One of the things I think is important is making sure that your quality control person is heavily involved in your customer service department. Could even be that they do some of the customer service work. Because then they'll find out what needs to change, and hopefully you can communicate that all the way back to the start of the process. And, one of the things that I think is really challenging for people that aren't dealing directly with the customers is they take those things personally. Like this screw up, I take it personally, or this customer's being too picky, and I take that personally. And what I've always tried to get across to people is when we're finding issues and we're fixing things and we're trying to improve, it doesn't mean that you're not doing your job well or we're not doing our job well. It means this is an opportunity to grow and learn and get better and improve. So it's not whose fault is it. It's how can we fix the process so everybody is happier and make it a win-win for every.
Aaron, and I along those lines, I did an article once where I talked about if someone walks on your production floor and says, "Who's in charge of quality control?" If everybody points at the person at the end of the dryer belt or in the shipping department, then you have a problem. Because when you walk out on the production floor and say, "Who's in charge of quality control?" everybody's hand should go up because everybody's in charge of quality control. And it's kind of a tangent there, but I think it fits into what you're talking about a bit.
Absolutely. I love that. That's great. If I had a yellow legal pad in front of me, I'd write that one down.
I have mine. You knew I did though, didn't you?
Yeah, I know. If you could just email that to me, I just did that.
I'll fax it over. Okay.
Okay. If I have a fax machine. Anyways, go ahead.
Yeah, you're done, right. Well, okay, Aaron, my next one is in 2018, take a look at what your position is in the industry. And what I mean by that is, what do people think when they hear the name of your company? Do they think, the low end guy? Do they think, they're always going to deliver on time? Do they think, this is definitely a high end product? What is your position in the industry? And more importantly, first of all, you have to determine what is your position. Second of all, what do you want your position to be? I mean, maybe you want to be that 3 for $10 person. I hope you don't. If you are that person, you're probably not listening to this show, because people who listen to this show are usually listening to make their businesses better and to make more money and to hear us banter on. But, but you can change your positioning as easily as, changing business cards, changing your logo, changing the way you answer the phone. There's a lot of things that you can do to position yourself. And first thing you have to do is decide, this is who I want my company. This is what I want people to think when they hear my company name. And then every decision is based on that. And everything that you do in the process is based on that position that you want to achieve. So, and if you want my recommendation, position yourself as a service and quality company. Don't position yourself as hey, we've got we will undercut anybody by a nickel. Don't be that guy.
Yeah. That's a good point. I think just in general, what's your position in the industry? What's your position in your company? How do you want to improve that for those employees? You had some good points about some of the employees listening in, Terry. I think that can also be translated into, you might think that, like you said, you might think that the company couldn't live without you, but like you said, there's a pretty good chance that they can.
Right.
I've left companies before and they're still in business, and I thought I was the greatest thing ever, but apparently they were still able to survive.
They muddled through.
Eric says, use your experience to be a consultant, not a commodity. It's good. Very good. All right, Terry. Well, it's been a great conversation so far. We still got a few things to get here, but should we take a quick break and hear from our friends over at Equipment Zone?
Let's do it.
All right. Let's see if I can do this right this time.
Our show today is sponsored by Equipment Zone. Go to equipmentzone.com for the Epson F2000 direct-to-garment printer. Equipment Zone is the only Epson reseller who sends a technician to every customer location for training. This is an absolutely free visit to your location. Equipment Zone is also the manufacturer of the #1 pre-treat machine in the industry, the Speed Treater TX. With no compressor and no special tanks, the Speed Treater TX is the easiest and most consistent pre-treat machine available worldwide. Go to equipmentzone.com for the Epson F2000, the Speed Treater TX, and for all your DTG inks and supplies. That's equipmentzone.com. That's equipmentzone.com.
All right. Well, thanks to Equipment Zone for being our sponsor since nearly the very first show, Aaron. I think we were about a month in when we decided that we wanted to go to an hour and get some sponsorship to defray some of those costs, and Equipment Zone stepped up, and they've been sponsoring us ever since. So thanks to Harry and everybody over at Equipment Zone for that. Aaron, what events do you have coming up that we could talk about?
Well, we've got a few things. We've got DAX Kansas City coming up pretty quick here, and I will be hosting a seminar there called Digital Marketing, Growing Your Business with Social Media and Email Marketing. We're going to talk about some techniques to do some paid advertising on social media, as well as the email marketing side of things, how to keep out of the spam box. And at the seminar or similar seminars I've done, I bring up the word email marketing, and I ask people what word they associate that with, and almost unanimously it's spam. And so I want to talk about how we do it right, so you're not spam and people actually want to get your emails. So that's going to be Friday the 23rd at 12:30 p.m. till 1:50. And then I will be racing over to meet you for our seminar that we'll be doing, maybe in the same room. It's hard to say. On Friday the 23rd at 2:20 p.m. Called Finding New Niche Markets Because You're a Digital Decorator. And you and I are going to have a fun conversation like we're having here, and we're going to talk about different things that you can do with your direct-to-garment, your sublimation, your print and cut, your toner transfer systems, and the niches and the nuts and bolts of it. We're not going to get into using those piece of equipment, but we're going to talk about getting the business.
Right. And if anybody's ever been to a Two Regular Guys seminar, it's going to be a lot of fun, a lot of information, but I think you'll enjoy it.
Yeah, we do have as you can tell if you're listening to this program, we have a fun banter. We like to jab at each other, and that's just how we know we care about each other. And then the last thing, Terry, to share is that evening, the 23rd, is the DAX Kansas City party, and we will be emceeing that, I believe. So we're excited to do that 5 p.m. at DAX Kansas City. So see us there. And what about you, Terry? What do you have coming up?
I have my complete screen printing business course. January 27th, 28th will be at Workhorse Products in Phoenix. February 10th and 11th, I'll be at Atlas Screen Supply in Chicago. And March 3rd and 4th, I'll be at Atlas Screen Supply in Nashville, Tennessee. So all that's going to be on my website, terrycombs.com. On January 18th, Aaron, I'm going to be doing a full-day Epson F2000 class in Long Beach, California. It's the day before the ISS show, so go to ISS Shows, that's 3 S's in the middle, issshows.com to sign up for that. And my DAX seminar that I'm doing on my own, it's going to be equipment and supplies for the new screen printer, what you need for success. And basically come with your legal pad or come with whatever product that you're going to record information on, because I'm going to tell you exactly what you need to start a screen printing business and why you need it. So I'm looking forward to doing that seminar. It's going to be Friday, February 23rd at 10:20. And as always, my upcoming events are at terrycombs.com under tour dates. And Aaron, we have shuffled things around a little bit, but next week we're going to be doing the 2018 10 things we would like to see in the industry. And looking forward to doing that. You and I have a lot of homework to do, but also in our reshuffle here at the end, we have It's 5 Things, and you're up next.
All right, absolutely. Let's here we'll put a little graphic up. Yay! All right. Well, I'm going to do 5 things this week, Terry, and to close out the show for us. And my 5 things are 5 tools you need, and I have that in all caps. So I'm yelling that in your technology stack. These are things that I use, and so I think you need them. How about that? All right, Terry. Number 1 is Evernote. It is a great tool. It will replace your yellow legal pad as the tool of choice, and so you want to use Evernote. Can keep all your information. It's a great tool for note taking. The second tool you want to use, if you're using Gmail at all, and a lot of people are these days, it doesn't have to be just the Gmail account, but if you're using Google Mail, there's a tool called Boomerang, and it is, to me, it's invaluable. It does a couple of things. It will allow you to schedule emails to go out at a different time. So if I'm working at 2 a.m., my emails don't send at 2 a.m. They send at 8 a.m. Or things like that. And you can also have it bring emails back to you that you need to follow up on. So it's just a great tool to kind of manage your email box a little bit. And to go along with managing of email and to-dos, I use a tool called Todoist, and I love it, and it's great. In fact, for the listeners here, I have a special code for 3 months of premium service with Todoist if you'd like to check it out. So hit me up on social media. Aaron, just hit Two Regular Guys up on social media and tell us you'd like the Todoist code and why. And I'll pick, I think I've got 2 or 3 of them, maybe 2, and I'll pick a couple people and send them to them. The next tool, number 4, is called Snappa, and it is a great graphics program that helps you set your sizes for all your social media graphics and things like that. I was close on the infographic thing there, but I just gave up. But Snappa is a great tool for graphics. And then last but not least, to manage all of your contacts, I use a software called Full Contact, and it allows you to take pictures of business cards, and it'll translate them. It'll get contacts out of email signatures. It does duplicate checking. It updates information based on their social media profiles, et cetera, et cetera. So there's my 5 things: Evernote,
Fantastic.
Boomerang, Todoist, Snappa, and Full Contact.
Fantastic.
So there we go, Terry.
All
Great
right,
show.
Aaron. Well, we've got a few trade shows coming up.
Just about wrapped up. Anything we need to close out here?
Yeah, let me give you a couple of quick trade shows. We have ASI Orlando, January 3rd and 4th.
And now I can't get this. There we go. All right, guys, let's close it out. And
We have the trade shows all listed on our website, guys.
okay, apparently I froze. Yes, CJ, we will link these things in the show notes, and we'll go from there. Excellent stuff. Thanks, everybody. And let's talk to everybody next week.
Very good. Happy New Year.
Thank you for listening to Two Regular Guys. Check out our website at tworegularguys.com. That's the number 2, regularguys.com. You can also interact with us over at our Facebook page, facebook.com/tworegularguys, or send us a tweet, twitter.com/tworegularguys. And we have a YouTube page. You can find all that from our website, tworegularguys.com. Thanks for tuning in, and we look forward to spending some time with you again next week.